So everybody, you're watching Spaceman Reviews. You know, it's been a little bit since I made a video. I just can't find stuff all the time to talk about. So I just kick back and, well, I've been watching videos too, and one of the things that's popped up recently was the new Haslab Cantina display. I don't even say it's a playset, but I mean more like a display, because let's be honest, this isn't a kid's toy, not at $500. But anyway, before we get into today's video, if you haven't, make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't miss any more videos. No, I want to make it clear, I'm not going to spend this video shitting all over this display playset, whatever it is from Haslab. I think honestly it's a good idea, but however, it's not without its problems and issues. We're going to cover that. So let's get started, shall we? So yeah, so they just launched this this display for $500, but it needs like 8,000 backers. I think it's like 5,600 some backers. So I think it's going to make it. However, I'm not going to question is why it's the Cantina. I mean, obviously, man, we love the Cantina. It's where some of it's so iconic. It's not your typical Lee's Bar and Grill. It's not Texas Roadhouse. This is the Cantina. This is where you go in a spaceport, grab a drink, and have aliens playing music, aliens getting drinks. I mean, it's one of those iconic scenes in Star Wars that we all remember. And I mean all like Gen Xers like myself. I saw this movie when I was a kid, back in '77. Man, I remember that. And it really blew me away when our heroes walk inside the Cantina. You just get drawn into this crazy alien world where like they're all having beers and chugging away, and it's like all kinds of colorful aliens. And okay, so maybe that's why they chose that. But now this first off, if we look, a lot of this stuff you can make yourself. I mean, if you really want to display and you don't have much money, you can build this on your own budget. You can add whatever you want. This is basically a gutted out dollhouse for action figures. And I'm not ripping into it. I'm just simply saying that you can build this yourself. Not hard. I mean, you got cylinders right here that you cut in half. Those are the little ways. You got the tables that are basically little cylinders. You can make that. These are all flat shapes that you can cut out, make yourself. And you can make it pretty good. Those of you who have a 3D printer, you can add all the little nicks and crannies. Just buy a bunch of IG-88 figures, because they use this head as the drums where the drinks are getting served from. Yeah. $500. Seems like an awful lot for a playset with no figures. Now I think there's two options to buy. For $400, you just get, the full Cantina. For $500, you get like a couple exclusive figures that I don't think have been out on the market yet. But now they're going to release it. It's like, it's not like you can go to the store and buy these figures. You're going to have to go online to buy these figures. Now I know there's probably, some people who've been collecting the 3 3/4 inch line refusely, so it won't be a problem for them. They already have it. But what about the majority of the people that don't have these figures? Like, a long time ago, almost 15 years ago, I used to have a lot of the vintage collection, the original trilogy collection, Power of the Force, Power of the Jedi. Some of them figures would fit in the Cantina nicely, but there was nothing happening back then. So I got rid of them all, and then Disney bought Star Wars and pretty much destroyed it. Y'all see the Acolyte? That thing's a joke. But yeah, some important things happen in the Cantina. You remember when Luke gets bullied by Walrus Man or Panda Baba? We know him as Walrus Man. And then he gets his arm cut off by Obi-Wan Kenobi? Or how about where they meet Luke and Chewbacca for the first time? Or how about when Han blasts Greedo? First off, before the special edition, Han shot first. With the special edition, Greedo shoots first, misses, and Han shoots him. To settle that argument. But other than that, it's not really much happening. It's kind of like you're just buying a bar setup for your figures. Me personally, I would have went with the basic reissue of the Star Wars Cantina. Not a lot of kids got those. I was one of those kids that never got those. Reissue it in like the same kind of printed box, and maybe have it come with the Kenner Cantina aliens, so you can break this puppy out and get back a piece of that childhood that you never got. But instead, what Hasbro's done, release this and no figures. That don't make no sense. That makes no sense. Some of these figures came out years ago, like the Cantina band. You need all those guys. Those guys provided the music. You want to get the whole look, you're going to have to get all those guys. Think that's going to be cheap? Right now, all the Cantina aliens on eBay just went up in price. Why? Because they all saw this. And they know that they got money on their hands, because they know there's going to be people when they buy this playset that they know they're not going to have those aliens. So guess what? On eBay, baby. Yeah, so what was $50 is now $100. Well, if you want it, you're going to pay for it. So it's not just the cost of this playset, it's the cost of all the figures on top of that added to the playset. This is the thing here. I'm not against I'm a collector myself, but I don't like Hasbro's circling the scale, if you will. They've been circling the scales ever since the Black Series came out. And if you saw what Toys R Us back in 2013, Toys R Us was shredded with different scales of figures. I mean, they had one that was like 2 feet tall. I didn't get that. It made no sense, because they're never going to get ships. I mean, unless they're going to be almost scaled to humans. But this here, it's like they went to Black Series figures in I believe 2012. Ever since then, they've been focusing more on the 6-inch scale, while leaving the vintage collection 3 3/4-inch figures, leaving them out of the market. Now all of a sudden, here's a play set for 3 3/4-inch figures. You're going to do that. What Hasbro should have done was break this up into 4 sections. You could have had, or even 3 sections. You could have had this section here, you could have had this section here, and you could have had the bar section right here. And then include with that all the figures that were in the Cantina in that section. That would have been the way to go. This way, it would push you as a collector to get the whole set and complete the entire Cantina. But Hasbro doesn't do that. They say, here's the play set, just buy this, and now you got to work on the figures. Don't get got. Don't get got. Repeat it after me. Don't get got. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. You have people that are going to buy this, and they're going to be all happy when it shows up. They're going to break this thing out, and there it's just going to sit week after week after week. It's going to be empty. The bar's closed. And then there's turn around, they're going to resell it. Then you're going to have some that are just going to buy it. And when they get it, they're just going to let it sit in the box for a couple of weeks. And then the regret comes in of spending all that money for that playset that they have no figures for. Poor planning. Poor planning on both the collector and Hasbro's part. I mean, if they're going to do this, they should have... See, Hasbro screwed themselves because they could have made more money on that deal. They could have sold each section for like $300 and then just included reissued all the figures into that set. You know, you could have got a part of the canteen. I don't even see a display where you can put the Cantina band. It's just a couple of little tables there where you can, you know, have Chewy, and it's just, I think it's a bad idea and poor planning. Now that's going to come with all these little cups and stuff that is going to get lost on your fucking rug. You're going to lose this stuff. But then you're going to have people that are like, they're going to, as soon as they open it, they're going to box up the cups and stuff and then turn around and sell that. Because they know people are going to lose them. And let's be honest here, these figures, well, if you're going to go buy these figures, none of these figures were ever designed for the bar. They were never designed to hold cups or anything else. They were designed to hold their weapons. So what are you going to do with all the cups? They should have thought this through, and they didn't. They just like, here's the deal. You know, big $500, let's get paid. This, people, this is what we call a cash grab. Hasbro don't care about your problems. They care to make your money. And a lot of people are going to jump on this. You know, it's a nice play set. It's pretty big. And that's just it, too. The size. This thing is going to take up a lot of room. This is a space killer. Keep that in mind. You get this. What about the next Jabba sail board? What about the Death Star 2 ending battle scene with the throne, the big window with the star battle going on outside where Luke and Vader fight? That should have been what they should have done here. And they could have done, you would have had the Royal Guard, you would have had Jedi Luke, you would have had Darth Vader, the Emperor. You could have had 5 fucking exclusive figures that could have came with that, and they could have banked on that. They could have made it $500-600, and people will pay that. But no, you get an empty bar, an empty restaurant with no figures. You're lucky. You might get 2. I think there's like 2 or 3 exclusive figures with that. 3 out of look at all these people. You're going to pay through the nose to get these figures. Now the bartender, I think, comes with it. If you're willing to pay extra to get the same Cantina. But what about this pilot? What about that guy? What about that girl? Have they ever even been released? What about this guy? Do you know their names? No, it's going to be a headache. And it's like, what's the point to having it? What's the point to having this beautiful display and have a few of the aliens in it? Surely you didn't spend all that money to do that. Surely you didn't spend $500 to sit your Avengers figures in. That don't make no sense. Because, you know, these guys are going to be up in price. And do you know any stores that sell or flea markets that have old Power of the Force? I think this display was meant more for more modern Star Wars figures, like your Power of the Jedi, your vintage collection, your trilogy collection, your legacy collection, your vintage collection figures. I think that's more what this is more intended for. Because if you're going to try to, let's say, mix these old Generation 1 Kenner Star Wars figures, while it looks good for this Cantina, it's not going to look good for this Cantina. Do not put yourself in a situation where you're going to regret dumping all this money and turn around a couple weeks later. You're going to get the shits of it. You're going to regret it and then turn around and sell it for cheaper than what you paid for it. Doesn't make any sense. I think it was poor planning on Hasbro's part. They could have done better. They should have done better. I'm not here to trash on Hasbro. I think they're doing a great job with the G.I. Joe stuff, finally. But this here just don't make any sense. The Trouble Bubble for the classified figures made a lot of sense. Wasn't a big vehicle. Good, perfect for the 6-inch scale bad guys. But this Cantina doesn't make any sense. Because it's way too populated. It's way too populated. There are a lot of figures. Probably pay $100 for each figure, roughly. So you're looking almost together with the playset dropping $3,000. Huh, yeah, I'll just get that. Hang on. Oh yeah. Oh shit, man. I left that $3,000 back in bumfuck Egypt. But yeah. We all like the Cantina, but that doesn't mean that we have to go broke on it. Then you got the band. There's no place for the band. You got like 7 or 8 members of the band. Now, Hasbro did do, I think, a box set of this band. But that was like a couple years ago. Now you're going to have to go online again to find not only 50 plus fucking aliens, but you have to find the whole band too to have a whole display. Cha-ching, if you're the one selling. Now I know there's some empty pockets out there that, unlimited pockets out there that can pay no expense, huh? I'm like John Hammond, paid no expense. But what about the thrifty collectors out there? Thrifty collectors, honestly, you could just make your own. Or I would go with vintage and get this. And with that picture, let's see. To complete this, to have this, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You get the 9 figures and the play set. And it won't really break the bank too much, depending on where you get it from. I think Hasbro should have went that way, but they're all about grabbing that cash. Get the bang for your buck. Don't get got. Remember, don't get got. Yeah. Me, I just stick with the Black Series. I love what they're doing with the Black Series figures. They look good. But if I was to say, come into some money and I really wanted a Cantina display, I would just go with the vintage. That's more nostalgic, especially to somebody like me who didn't actually have the Cantina playset but had a lot of other playsets. Then would get that to have them old memories. And not some highly decked out, detailed, overpriced piece of junk from Hasbro. And it'll be junk because there ain't nothing you can do with it. I mean, I would at least attempt to try to make this myself. With some skills, with a little bit of skills, a little bit of know-how, some picture reference, you could do this yourself. You got a 3D printer. Shit, you're leagues ahead. You can 3D print a lot of this shit. But yeah. Anyway, people, That's my take on it. I would just pass. That's for me. I like what Hasbro is doing in some of the areas. In some of the other areas, they need to improve. I think Haslab is... I don't know. I don't know where they're thinking. I don't think Star Wars is marketable as it used to be. I think it's lost a lot of its marketing ability to reach a lot of people because of what Disney has done. But that's my opinion. What's yours? Are you going to be shelling out for this play set? Was the Cantina scene one of your favorites? I know it was one of mine, but I would want to myself, honestly, I would want to go more vintage, where it actually means more than just some highly decked out, overpriced set that possibly I could just make myself if I was interested. Anyway, people, God bless all of you out there. Good hunting. Are you going to get the Cantina? Let me know in the comments down below. God bless all of you out there. All of you awesome collectors out there. And happy hunting. Woo!